Welcome to Reread, where I'm rereading through the expanded universe in chronological order. Folks, it is time to review 000 by Karen Traviss. After my glowing review of No Prisoners, it's time to balance out the odds there. Because, of course, I still don't like this one, and everyone knows why. But I did prepare some notes on some good and some bad things that I have on this book. Now, of course, the bad completely outweighs the good, but I do want to mention some good things I probably didn't do in my first review. I do like the characters. The clones are great. She introduces some more ARC troopers, I believe, and they're fun. You get to accept them after a while. At first, it's really confusing because there's so many new names you got to deal with. But after a while, you kind of get used to everyone. And some of the names I did remember, of course, as well. And even characters who aren't in it for that long, because maybe they die, are really good. They're really fleshed out. So the clone troopers, they do a good job. The humor's there. There's still some humor. There's still some times I smiled and laughed at things that were going on. Etain, even though I despise her character, at least she has one, where Kara Holt from Knight Errant really didn't. And the other thing I like about it is that the whole thing takes place on Coruscant, not on the front line. You don't always have to have these Clone Wars novels take place on the battlefront line. Here they are fighting the good fight on a crucial planet that, you know, both armies must control, or that it will turn the tide of the battle. It doesn't always have to be that crucial a battle. They're fighting internally on Coruscant. I believe like one or two gangs that are doing terrorist acts on the planet, and they're there to stop them on Coruscant. And whether this takes place before or after Targets, it really doesn't matter. I still think it takes place before, just because Etain isn't in the Targets episode, and so they're just doing some work on Coruscant still. Oddly enough, in the omnibus for this by Science Fiction Book Club, they included the short story from the Star Wars Insider. Targets is in there at the end. I had no idea. If I recalled that first time, I forgot about it, because when I was reading through, I read through my omnibus, I was like, wait a minute, what's this extra story? Target? What? I don't know how or why they got the rights to put that in there, or why they Science Fiction Book Club decided, hey, yeah, we need to put the short story in there too. We've got a few extra pages to pad. I don't know, but I thought that was really neat that that short story is collected in the omnibus. Never knew that. So that's really more about the Science Fiction Book Club than what the book was. But that's it for the good. Let's get to the bad here. A lot of bad. Etain, who is the world's worst Jedi, is now a general. She's a Jedi Knight. I don't know why. They just say in the war, which is it's been 1 year. So she went from Padawan to Jedi Knight, just like Anakin, in less than a year. So now she's commanding troops, and she's the worst leader, right? Because she's like a clone hugger. She's caring for the clones, caring about clone rights. In fact, they talk about the clones need R and R2, and like the whole Republic military is like, they don't get time off. We've never thought about that before. They're just war battle machines. Well, yeah, that's what they've been. That's their genetically engineered clones who are bred to just do battle. They just do that. They don't do rest and relaxation. But she's looking for, clones to be treated better, and she keeps thanking the clones for their service, and making sure that she's understanding for them, and they are a person, and that's fine. She can be, and I don't really care for that type of character, but she can be that type of character, and that'd be fine. But then again, here comes the whole love story that was really forced in there and felt a lot like fan fiction. And now that I've reread it, I can pinpoint some of the bullet points that I couldn't in my first video, because I couldn't remember exactly what I remember. I just disliked the whole idea, but now I can pinpoint and tell you some specific areas of where this just failed on every level. The first one is how Etain expresses her love to Darman. It happens over a meal. They're just eating a meal together, laughing about the old times, because it's been a while since the two have seen each other. And so they decided to grab a little meal at the little cafeteria or whatever, and it's not that good. The meal's not that good, but they're better than an MRE, right? Oh, ho, ho, ho. And then it's at that point where Etain goes, Darman, I love you. I've missed you every day since we've been apart. What? I mean, Darman would have been like, Are you talking to me, General? What's going on? I mean, just really weird stuff. And she just professes his love, and then I guess there's enough time for something, is what they say at the end. I was like, what? It just goes like that. And it was just so out of the blue. So out of the blue. So forced at the it's toward the beginning of the book, too. And it's like, wow. It's almost like Karen Travis like, man, I really wanted a romance between Etain and Darmin, and I forgot to put that in book 1. So let me just start off by just having her profess her love to this clone over a meal in the cafeteria. I mean, why not? I do like that there is a commander in the army that dresses down General Etain over something. I can't remember what. I want to say maybe it's her in emotional or her, love affair with Darmin. Like when he finds out about it, he just kind of dresses her down like she should know better. She's a general. She's a Jedi. She's like, yeah. And you're an idiot, Etain. She's totally bonkers in this, in my opinion. And by the way, making the clones more human, to me, is not that interesting a story. Showing how the clones are different from humanity is. For example, them getting some R&R, which they do later on. I wish they would have said, brought them to, maybe she brings them to a bar to kind of, relax, and they don't know how to. They want to talk about military strategy. They want to talk about, the newest equipment, the latest, greatest vehicles and stuff. All they can do, because they're genetically engineered to think this way. And she's like, okay, well, let's do something fun. And maybe they disassemble all their guns, throw them in a pile, and then very quickly have to reach into that pile, picking out piece by piece and reassembling their DC-16 or whatever. I mean, that'd be funny. And they think that's a fun time, because they're just, like I said, they're genetically engineered for war. And that's all they should be caring about. But trying to make them feel more relatable and, wake up and now, oh, I'm human too. No, you're a clone that was genetically engineered to do battle for the Republic. I mean, that's exactly what was set up in episode 2. That would have been, to me, a more interesting story to show their differences and how just clones will never be human. No one wants to hear that story, though. We always want a happy ending for them. Etain, in the middle of the book, out of the blue, again decides that she loves Darmin. Darmin is the one she loves. Okay, great. I don't know why we're reading this during this chapter, because the adventure itself is pretty decent. But Etain says, and he deserves a son. I'm going to give him a boy. Okay, you weirdo. By the way, the commander in the army basically says, he's 10 years old. He's like, basically a child. And she's like, it doesn't matter. It's not his fault he's a clone. Okay, but it's your fault you're freaky. I mean, it's almost like someone who knows that what they're doing is evil, but they're trying to justify it, by saying, I'm liberating this person. No, you're selfish. You want your own little selfish little wicked desires, and you're taking Darmin for yourself and basically, manipulating him. It really can be read like that when you're looking through. When I was reading through it, I was like, wow, this is a little bit more creepier than I thought. I do want to mention one character here. His name is Skirata, I guess. I don't listen to the audiobook, so I don't care, first off, how you say his name. But Skirata is how I said. And he is portrayed as a friend of Jango Fett. Now, he says, well, Jango called me and said, do I want to train some clones? And there's some money involved. And I said, sure. So they try to make it seem like a business transaction. But at the very beginning, there's a flashback with him and Jango, and they seem like they're good friends, old friends. In fact, Skirata wonders whatever happened to Boba Fett, and he hopes Boba's okay. Okay, well, that's not just a regular hire. He's just a business associate. A business associate wouldn't care about that person's kid. And that is, in a way, a contradiction when you think about it. I'm not trying to find contradictions in the EU by no means, but Boba says that, it's mentioned several times before this, it's established that Jango has no friends outside of maybe Zam Wesell. And that's it. He doesn't have any friends. He's a loner. So how come Boba doesn't go to Skirata or doesn't even talk about him or know about him? Boba could have really used some help if he wants to, grow up to be a Mandalorian. And if Jango had Mandalorian friends or even business people who, he respected and they respected him, they had a mutual respect, he would have Boba go to them instead of chasing him around the galaxy, throwing him in the most dangerous situations ever. So that really doesn't make too much sense. But when Etain talks to him, she smiles. She's like, He thinks he treats these clones as his sons. He even said he feels like Darmin and the rest of them are his sons, and he's their father. Well, I'm going to make him a grandfather. Won't he be so happy? And you're like, you were insane. You need to be arrested by the Jedi Order and tried by the Republic. You are creepy, lady. Creepy. I remember later on in the book, the clones ask Etain, can you do a force choke on this guy? She went, not from this far away. And she goes, plus, I've never done one before. And I'm thinking, yeah, she hasn't. Wait a minute. Where did the clones see a force choke? What Jedi out there is using a force choke on people? Well, that kind of spurred a question there for me. I think it's just because Karen Traviss has seen the movies. She knows what a force choke is, so I guess it's common knowledge is what she believes. But that didn't really make too much sense. Etain goes up to one of the clones, or maybe it's the clone commander. She's like, excuse me. And it's almost like I can see her twirling her hair. How do you say I love you in Mandalorian? And the clone, whoever tells her how to say it, and she practices like, okay. Boy, you are creepy, lady. Stay away from Darmin. If you are ever in the same, you cannot be in the same room with Darmin, left alone. You have to have a chaperone. I mean, it's just really, Etain is really just creepy. She comes across as creepy now. I'm not even making jokes here. When she finally tells Skirata, hey, I'm carrying his child. You're gonna be a granddaddy. I'm crazy. Well, of course, Skirata is furious with her. It's like, what are you doing? I already told you, don't mess with his feelings. He's still young. He's gonna die way before you. And she went, that's okay. Husbands die before, wives that live their husbands all the time. I mean, really creepy. And Skirata just should have turned, but Skirata hates the Republic and he hates the Jedi. He likes Etain because she's kind of one of the crew with the Mandos. But, he's like, no, this is dumb. You don't even tell Darmin because he's about to go to war. He can't have this. You can't mess with his head like that he has a son. You didn't even ask him if he wanted a child. And then she goes, well, I feel bad for him. He never had a good life. He was, his accelerated growth, and he missed his childhood. He's not going to have experienced fatherhood, so I want him to experience this. Yeah, creepy. True story, there is a high school teacher who basically said the same thing about when she had an affair with one of her students. Like he just had a hard life and, knowing his childhood was bad and I'm just trying to show him love and responsibility. It's very similar to that. So Etain is disgusting in a way. But Skirata says, well, the boy's going to be trained to be Mando. I'm going to raise him to be a Mandalorian. And, of course, Karen Traviss is all about Mandalorian lore. That's what a lot of people love about her. There's a lot of military phrases in this. I mean, she definitely does her study in the book, but too much military abbreviations and stuff can get kind of old and kind of boring after a while, just in my opinion. 000, like I said, if you take Etain and Darmin's relationship, or just Etain, if you take her out of the entire storyline, this is a decent book. It's a decent book, but because of the creepiness that is that weird Jedi and that weird relationship, this is why I do not like this series. Now, can't wait to talk about more of the Republic Commando series next time in another video.